Sunrise, French babe, new face, let go. Morning track with Jasson C, set the tone. Alarm hit, I'm up, no snooze, no slack, lace tight, mic on head, we run that track. Coffee in the system, mind sharp, talk slick. Pre-game on the screen, I don't miss, I don't pick. Type stats in the chat, watch it pop up loud. Clear card on screen, yeah, the numbers arrive. Just 20 tweets, say boom, instant replay. No guesswork, no rumors that the data say. Quick lab energy, but it tastes real out. 10 early hours into the main crowd. Quick hits, no fluff, we don't stall. Roll call, name drop, yeah, I got them all. One command, one tap, now the truth on tap. If you want to prove, just type it in the chat. Type it in the chat, type it in the chat. Yeah, morning track, get up, get right. First pitch, energy in the early daylight. Chat go, when the screen goes snap.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Hope everybody's having a great Friday morning. Thank God it's Friday, right? So we got a lot to discuss. We'll get into Team Japan and their first WBC game. USA has their first game versus Brazil tonight. We do some trivia. Oswaldo Cabrera is making his spring debut after about a year off. Cam Schlittler, spring debut. We'll do some this or that. And then we'll get into MLB Pipeline ranking the Yankees farm system 26 overall. Let me say what's up to the chat real quick before we start. How does my mic sound? All right, should be good. We got Katie in the building. What's up, Katie? She says, Jason, how's it going? It's going good. It's going good. I got my Roxy's right there sleeping on my foot. She don't leave me alone, this dog. Ace, was good? Ace was popping, man. But yeah, let's get into this WBC stuff real quick. Shohei Ohtani absolutely went off last night. The dude went 3 for 4 in his first game of the 2026 WBC. Japan beat Chinese Taipei. They actually blew him out. I mean, look, I'll say this, right? I don't want to hate on the dude because obviously, look, he's continues to amaze everyone, right? He's the best player in the world, without a doubt. But I'll say this, like, you're not facing like Chinese Taipei, like, okay, they're decent actually. When they played Australia the other day, they had a good pitcher on the mound, but I think he was their best pitcher. The guy they had out there today, he got crushed, man. I mean, Ohtani had 4 at-bats by the second inning or something like that. Like, it was absolutely ridiculous. They ended up winning. What was the score there? Let me pull this up real quick. It was like, 13-zip. So they won 13-zip. Ohtani went 3 for 4 with a grand slam, almost hit for the cycle. Japan, I know I've been saying it right. Even though to me, I have Japan third. If I rank them right now, I have Japan third. You just can't deny the Team DR's and Team USA's roster. But that could be me just being biased because I'm not familiar with a lot of the Japan players on that team. They do got a squad, though. They do got a squad. Yamamoto pitched yesterday. Obviously, he shut Chinese Taipei down. So shout out to Japan, man. It's gonna get interesting. These early pool games, though, like, I'd be shocked, right? And we'll jump into the next topic, which is Team USA, their WBC openers tonight versus Brazil. I'd be shocked if if Brazil somehow beat USA or even Team DR. If Team DR, Team USA, or Team Japan lose any pool games, I'd be really, really shocked. They should be able to get out of the pool, their respective pools easily. Undefeated too. But today we're going up against Team Brazil, who actually they got a couple guys on that team. Nobody too crazy, but I think they got Bo Bichette's brother. They got Manny Ramirez's son. I don't know how. Maybe from his mother's side, he's Brazilian or something. So he's on the team. And so this should be an easy win for Team USA. It should be an easy win. You got Logan Webb taking the mound. I was thinking, why waste Logan Webb on a team like Brazil, right? Why not save him for later? But I understand the logic, right? The same reason why Yamamoto pitched today, because you want to make sure that you get that first one out the way. You definitely want to make sure you get that first one out the way so you can get out of the pool and then worry about the semifinals and the quarterfinals and all that stuff later. So Team USA, man, got a freaking squad. Obviously, Aaron Judge hit a home run the day before yesterday. They're playing in Houston in the Astros Park. I think it's called Daikin Field or whatever it's called now. So they'll be playing there. It's gonna be a lot of fun, guys. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So I'm going for Team USA personally. But seeing what Team DR did the other day, their lineup is stacked, absolutely stacked. But yeah, so good stuff, good stuff. So let's get into this trivia real quick. I got a couple questions. I'm not sure how many people in the chat right now. Okay, only 5 people in the chat, so maybe we'll hold off on the trivia. We'll hold off on the trivia and come back to that. The next news I want to talk about is obviously Oswaldo Cabrera making his spring debut today versus the Rays for the Yankees. And it's good to see Waldo back, right? Obviously, the guy's always in high spirits, always got a smile on his face. He's the heartbeat of the clubhouse, some will say. But it's an uphill battle for him at this point. When I look at the roster, I don't see a spot for him. I just don't. Unless he comes out here and shows that something we haven't seen. We already know. We kind of know what Oswaldo is, right? Oswaldo's a guy who could play. He could play every position well, right? I want to say he's great at every position, but he could play every position good. Awesome utility guy. The bat still has some work that needs to be done with his bat, especially from the right side, I would say. Even from the left side, with me, Oswaldo, he struggles like with the high fastballs and stuff. So the thing is, there's not really a spot for him. So most likely he's going to be starting in AAA somewhere. And it's a lot of competition this year for these guys. Look, guys like Oswaldo, Volpe, and anybody else, right? Any of the young guys on the Yankees, they got a lot of competition this season in terms of who's getting called up or not. Because look, George Lombard Jr. is not making it easy for anybody. Spencer Jones ain't making it easy. These guys are playing really, really, really good. Kennedy Corona ain't making it easy. And even with the pitchers, right? Obviously, the Yankees got a ton of pitching prospects. They're not making it easy either. So it's tough, especially a lot of these guys are left-handed. It's going to be tough for a guy like Oswaldo Cabrera to find his way back in the big leagues, in my opinion. I hope it works out for him. Obviously, we love the dude. But yeah, tough. Space Magic Storm says, Daikin Park, named for the famous Japanese brand for air conditioners. Not sure how big they are in the States. I've heard the name and everything, but the problem is, man, that stadium in Houston will always be Minute Maid Park, in my opinion. For whatever reason, for all the times the Yankees lost in that place and all the great playoff series we had over there, it will always be Minute Maid Park to me, in my opinion. But yeah, so Waldo, hopefully, look, I wish Waldo the best, but it's not looking good for him right now in terms of making the major league roster at the moment anyway, at the moment. But I'm going to go back and we're going to do this trivia. If you guys first time joining the stream, I do a trivia. It's multiple choice question. Just put A, B, C, or D in the chat. The faster you answer correctly, the more points you get. No prizes today, but in the future there will be. Let me go ahead and set this thing up here. And I made it a little hard. The topic, the theme for the trivia today is just general MLB in general, no specific teams, but it's a little difficult. So we'll see who gets it right. And here we go.
Trivia time. Which player won the first unanimous AL MVP award, 1931? Is it A, Babe Ruth, B, Lou Gehrig, C, Jimmy Fox, D, Mickey Cochrane?
Mickey Cochrane. Again, A, B, C, or D in the chat to register your answer. And yeah, the faster you answer correctly, the more points you get. I don't know this one. I'm going to go with the Yankee. It's either, to me, 1931. It's got to be Babe Ruth or Lou Gehrig, in my opinion. Lou Gehrig. Yeah, we're going to get to Jasson Dominguez. We'll talk about all that here in a second, man. All right. Next question.
Trivia time. Which pitcher threw back-to-back no-hitters, 1938? Is it A. Nolan Ryan, B. Johnny Vandermeer, C. Sandy Koufax, D. Bob Feller?
Back-to-back no-hitters in 1938. Obviously wasn't Nolan Ryan because he didn't even play in those days, or Sandy Koufax, or Bob Feller, I would say. I'm going to go with B. It just sounds right. That sounds right. Yep. All right. Since we don't have too much participation today, we'll come back to that later. Right? We'll come back to that later. All right. Cam Schlittler making his spring debut after had some little bit of back tightness or lat tightness or something like that. They say it's nothing to worry about, but obviously he's behind right now in terms of ramping up for the season. So I don't think he'll start on the IL. I don't think that's going to happen at all, but I don't think he'll be quite ready immediately either. So I don't know how the Yankees are going to do that. I'm not sure. Maybe they put him on like a 10-day IL to start the season. Or maybe they just have him, be the fifth starter, give him a week off before the season starts. But the good news is he's back, right? Cam Schlittler, he's a guy that obviously stepped up huge for the Yankees last year. And this is somebody that the Yankees are really relying on to continue that success that he had last year. It's going to be crucial for this rotation, especially in the first 2 months before Rodon and Cole get here, right? The Yankees are relying on these young guys, especially a guy like Cam Schlittler. It's going to be his sophomore season. Obviously, he didn't have his first full season in the big league, so I'm very curious to see what he's going to do. I do think that he's going to be good, right? Now, what is good to some people might not be what's good to me. By good, I mean I think he gets, 15 wins maybe, somewhere around there, 13, 15 wins, ERA of 3.5. And I'll take that. I will take that from Cam Schlittler. Anything better than that is a bonus, in my opinion. But it's good to see the young Cam back, man, because this dude he's electric. You can't lie, man. He's somebody that this team, the success of the Yankees really rely on Cam Schlittler, guys like Garrett Cole. Obviously, Aaron Judge is always a must, right? There's a few people on this team that if they don't perform, this team's in trouble, And that's my whole gripe with this team. That is my whole gripe, that they have a lot of question marks. They got a lot of things that can go wrong. And whenever you have anything that could go wrong, I believe in Murphy's Law. What could go wrong will go wrong. So you got to prepare for stuff like that. What's up, Chef? My man, Chef. And we're going to get into these this or that's in a second here. Let me answer some of the chats, man. VL is here to stay, says, did you watch your boy Jasson Dominguez play at outfield yesterday? The Twins were clowning him and eating his lunch. But he's only 23 excuses are, yeah. Look, I didn't watch him. I didn't watch the game yesterday. I'll be honest. I had things to do. But yeah, I saw some of the highlights and stuff. Yeah, he's got a long way to go. Here's the thing, right? The problem is, right, the Yankees, they want the Jasson Dominguez to go play winter ball, to go get a lot of reps. That was the whole purpose of him going over there to the Dominican to play winter ball, is to get reps. And what happened, he had a little I don't think he injured his wrist, but he was having trouble with his wrist, so he couldn't get as many reps as we would like to get, right? We want them to get reps in the outfield and reps from the right side of the plate. he didn't really do neither. Obviously, the numbers weren't great in the DR, so it was kind of a wasted winter. So instead of him progressing, he really stagnated. He didn't develop at all this winter. Look, for the people saying, look, Jasson Dominguez, I get it that he's young. He's not a good outfielder right now. He is a liability out there. I don't care if you put him in center field, right field, left field. It doesn't matter. You put him on that field, he's a liability. My guy, if you look terrible at left, you're not going to look better at center. That's just the way I see it. Center field is even harder than left field, in my opinion. So, and that's not a knock against J-Dom, right? I love Jasson Dominguez, and I think his bat, especially from the left side, is good, and I hope that he can figure it out, but it's not looking, he's not ready right now. He's got too many things that need to be worked on, especially from the right side of the plate and the outfield, right? At least if you're not going to be hitting great from the right side of the plate, because from the left side of the plate, he's phenomenal. The thing is, though, we don't need lefties right now. We need righties. At least play your position well, right? So, yeah, I don't see a scenario where he makes this team. I just don't. I don't see a scenario at all where he makes this team. I think I would say Spencer Jones has a better shot of making the team than him right now. Look, I could be wrong, but that's just the way I see it. And Spencer Jones does have a good shot. We'll get into that right now, which is actually something that I've been wanting to talk about. Not too many people have been talking about this, but MLB Pipeline, right? MLB Pipeline ranked the Yankees farm system 26th overall. Let me repeat that. MLB Pipeline ranked the Yankees farm system 26th. 26. That means they're the fifth worst, right? Fifth worst team. Their farm system is the fifth worst in all of baseball. And look, guys, I get it. As fans, we love to glorify our prospects. We like to get high on them. Some people get too high on them. They get real crazy with the farm system. And I think it's probably unfair. I don't think the Yankees are 26, but these are the experts, and they put them down there. They do not have a lot of confidence in the Yankees farm system and even our top prospects. Right, we don't have any top prospect that cracks the top 10. We don't have a top 10, even a top 20, or even a top 30 prospect in MLB. And these are the guys that we refuse to trade because we're that high on them. But the rest of baseball is not high on them at all. Not on all of them anyway. So this is the article here. You see the writers, these guys. So the team with the best farm system, according to these dudes, are the Milwaukee Brewers. All right. They got the number 3 prospect. Let me zoom in here. They got the number 3, number 26, 51. So we got a couple in the top 100. I think we got some good prospects, especially pitching prospect. And then the Dodgers, right? It's crazy to say this. How the Dodgers, first of all, they have an all-star team. They spending $450 million or something like that. And then on top of that, they have the best farm system, the second best farm system in all of baseball, according to MLB Pipeline, is the Los Angeles Dodgers. Absolutely crazy. And then third place, you got the Pittsburgh Pirates. Obviously, we know Connor Griffin is the number 1 prospect, and then Bubba Chandler is the number 11th. So this is crazy to me because, right, people say, well, I understand the Pittsburgh Pirates, why their farm system's so good, because they lose so much. So they get in top drafts. The Dodgers aren't getting top 10 drafts every year. The Dodgers are in the bottom of the barrel, just like the Yankees, in terms of draft pick. So they draft them 26, 20, like they're all the way down there with the Yankees. Yet they're the number 2, right? Same thing with the Brewers. Brewers are never the top 5. They never have the top 5 picks or anything like that. It's usually always the, teams like the Pirates or the Orioles or, a team like that. Yet they have the number 1. farm system. But let me scroll all the way down to the Yankees. We're not going to get into all of those. All right. And here we got the Yankees. All right. The New York Yankees, let me center this a little bit or try to center it. No, I guess not. Right there's good. All right, the New York Yankees, obviously, the only prospects that we have in the top 100 are George Lombard Jr., and he's ranked number 32. Carlos Lagrange, ranked 79. Elmer Rodriguez Cruz, 82. And Dax Kilby, 94. So Spencer Jones didn't even crack the top 100. And look, I would say, though, seeing what I've seen from Lagrange, Elmer Rodriguez, and George Lombard, that's a good, at least those are three guys who I think could beat legit big leaguers, right? Are they going to be all-stars? I don't know. But they could be legit big leaguers, like decent big league players. The good news is that we do have a lot of pitching prospects with Lagrange, Elmer Rodriguez Cruz. Yeah, but behind, like what they're saying, beyond that group, right? Beyond the top 4, top 5 that we see there, you know, with the exception of Ben Hess and Spencer Jones, the depth falls off dramatically. This is according to the MLB Pipeline, right? I will take it with a grain of salt because, I don't know, for some reason, these guys seem to not like the Yankees at all. But it's just interesting. Even if they weren't 26, even if they were 20th, I think that's, man, you know, and it goes to a lot of things that us fans have been saying, right? Especially with our prospects. Like, I get it. A lot of people want to, especially Yankee fans, like when it comes to prospects, it divides the Yankee fan base because you got half the fan base that feels like, no, these prospects, they're going to pan out. This is the next Mariano Rivera. This is the next freaking Mickey Mantle. And then the other half is like, bro, we haven't had a decent prospect since Aaron Judge. Trade them all. I don't care. Just get somebody who can make an impact on the team now. And so it's difficult, right? It's difficult. And we've traded a lot of prospects. I will give the Yankees that. Like last year, we've been trading prospects, but we haven't traded the ones that can really, really get us something, the ones that really have value. The Yankees don't have the stones to do it. Am I saying they should trade Spencer Jones? Am I saying they should trade George Lombard Jr.? I'm not saying that either, right? But I think if the right piece comes along, if you're serious about winning, you got to really, all chips got to be on the table, right? Everything got to be on the table. The Yankees, sometimes we overvalue our prospects, and even as fans, we overvalue them. We overvalue where other teams obviously don't value them that high. Other teams don't think they're that great. So when Cashman gets on the phone with one of these other GMs and he's trying to negotiate a deal, they looking at Cashman like he has two heads. And they laugh. I bet when they hang up the phone on Cashman, they just laugh. Like, this dude's out of his freaking mind. You know? Because Cashman wants your firstborn son. You know, he wants a top MLB player and your firstborn son for a number 87 prospect. You know, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. But let me know how you guys think. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. Are the Yankees, you think that's legit? Yankees farm system ranked 26 overall. This is MLB Pipeline. This is where they're ranking us. Do you think that that's accurate, or you think it's unfair and they're being a little they have a little Yankee bias, you know, a little bit of Yankee hate? Where are the Blue Jays at? Let me look for the Blue Jays. Where's the Blue Jay system? All right, this is for slow burner. The Blue Jays are ranked 15, so they're way ahead of the Yankees too. So not a good look, man. Definitely not a good look for the Yankees. No way this team should be 26, right? And the Dodgers are second. Obviously, look, whatever the Dodgers are doing in terms of development, scouting, and just everything, analytics, they're leaps and bounds ahead of the Yankees, right? And the Yankees, man, they're freaking stuck in the past, man. That's why I say they got to make moves. They got to get rid of some of these dinosaurs who's been in this organization forever, because they're holding this team back. And I'm talking about Cashman and all these guys, man. And you can include Boone and all that. And then this organization is it's sad. It's sad, right? It really is. I'm not saying that obviously they're not the worst when it comes to play, but this organization is so delusional that they don't see what's right in front of them. They can't admit their wrongs. They cannot, to them, right? To the Yankees, there's nothing wrong. And obviously there is. You're getting ranked 26th. 26th. Right? Number 1 is the Brewers and number 2 is the Dodgers. And I get it because a lot of people are going to say, well, the Yankees, they don't draft high because they win. And to that I say, well, so do the Brewers and so do the Dodgers. So what are we doing, right? What is the Yankees farm system? Whatever's happening down there at the scouting department, it's gotten so bad, top to bottom, in all aspects, in all areas of baseball, right? In all areas of baseball operations, this team has been failing, where we used to stand out way above everybody. Other teams have lapped us already. We're in the past, man. They've really just leapfrogged us completely. A whole bunch of teams. And I get it's hard with prospects, and I get it because some of these probably, even the Brewers, they number 1, right? Those prospects might never pan out. But I would say this, that a lot of these teams that are on this list that are ahead of the Yankees, there's a reason why their prospects usually pan out more than the Yankees, right? I say if the Yankees brought up 50 prospects, one of those prospects might be actually decent, right? We might get high. They might have a good 2 weeks, and everybody's like, oh my God, this guy's the next freaking Babe Ruth. And then after that, they die off. With the exception of Aaron Judge, he's the last real star, the last all-star to come out of the Yankees farm system. Hopefully Ben Rice could be that. Hopefully Carlos Lagrange could do that too. Yeah, but there's a reason why they're ranked 26, right? There's a reason why they're ranked 26. And I hope the Yankees look at this, right? I hope they look at this and say, damn, like, what the fuck are we doing wrong? Because they would like to say, this is what they'll say. Well, we traded this guy and we traded these guys. Yeah, but so did these other teams. So did these other teams. So sometimes, look, I think it's time really the Yankees need to really do some self-reflection and look in the mirror and really just they need an intervention. I don't know how it's going to happen, but they really need an intervention, because your own fans see it. And I hate to be negative on my team, man, because I love my team, but bro, the writing's on the wall. Come on, guys. The writing is on the wall. The change needs to happen. If not, we're just gonna get more mediocre results. Like, we're just gonna be meh forever, And I don't want that. I definitely don't want that. But yeah, man, I see Slow Burners in the building. Katie says, I think the reason why they didn't win yesterday was because the offense didn't really show up. Yeah, the offense definitely didn't show up. Look, Katie, I would say this though. Whatever the score is in a spring training game, it don't even matter. Right? That's not why they playing in spring training. It's just ignore the score, ignore everything. Just look at individual players and what they do in spring training. Especially like, yeah, the bats didn't show up. You know how many people right now are in playing in the WBC? So we're literally like half a squad right now. Half a major league squad is there. The other half is in the WBC. So don't worry. That's why I didn't even get into the score of yesterday's game, because it really doesn't matter. The spring training scores do not matter at all. The Yankees could lose 50-0 and it wouldn't mean anything, And they could win 50-0 and it doesn't mean anything. It's more how individual players look. What was their performance? What did they do? That's how I try to view the spring training. Chef, what's up, Chef? Kelvin says, I have nothing but complaints about Cashman and how he managed the prospect. I mean, look, Cashman has made some good moves, but I say for every good one, he made 9 bad ones. So, yeah. It's one of those things that, like, I don't know. It kind of it gets exhausting talking about the same stuff every year and going to, but to me, look, it's gotten to the point with the Yankees that everybody knows it. The rest of the league knows it. The fan base knows it. Um, Other teams' fan bases know it. The only people who doesn't know it is the Yankees. The Yankees still think they're the dynasty Yankees, and everybody else knows that them days are long gone. Like, get with the times. Get with the times. So I don't know. I really don't know about this team. Yeah, we got a good team. Yeah, we'll make it to the playoffs maybe, but beyond that, I don't think anything's gonna happen, man. Slow Burner says, Otani, yeah, I was just talking about that, Slow Burner. You're gonna have to rewind. Luis Duran says the Yankees are living on past glory. Yeah, you're right, man. Them dudes they like that old dude, right? They're like that old guy, the OG on the block, right? Who's always talking about, oh, back in my day. There's always a back in my day, or back in the day we used to do this, and back in the day, and they think they all that, and you're looking at them like, my man, like you're a couple weeks away from a nursing home. Like, chill out, bro. Nobody cares about back in your day. What about today? It's like they say, right? It's like Jay-Z said, it ain't where you been, it's where you at. And the Yankees are not. They're not there right now, man. In terms of all baseball operations, man, I don't think we lead in anything. Obviously they say we have the best offense, but you got to look at those numbers. Those numbers are skewed too. Overall, the Yankees had the best offense last year, right? But then when you look at, all right, offense versus teams or versus better pitching, all of a sudden we're not ranked so high anymore, And so you got to look at the bigger picture sometimes with this team to really to get a grasp of who this team really is. And I can say this team because it's pretty much the same team as last year. When you look at the stats and you're like, well, they got the most runs scored, the most home runs, and you look great. And you're like, okay. But then when you look at how much of that was done versus better teams and how much of that was done versus worse teams, and you're like, oh, okay. So we beat up on the bad teams, but versus the good teams, kind of struggle. Kelvin says he's pissed that Grisham is blocking the outfield. Yeah, I mean, look, the whole Grisham thing, he ain't going nowhere, man. So it's one of those things we got to wait and see and hope that he can perform. We're going to hope that he can perform, but yeah, that's all we could. It's going to take a lot for them to replace him. He's going to have to literally bat 190 with like 4 home runs come July for them to take him out of there. They just not, man. They gave him $22 million. They're going to figure out how to make him play. And I think, look, I like Trent Grisham, right? I'm hoping that he can prove a lot of us wrong and have a good year like he did last year. But the odds are not in his favor, man. They're just not. And he ain't off to a good start either. He's definitely not off to a good start. But what we're going to do is we're going to do this or that. Right? You can get with this or you can get with that. All right. This or that is pretty much you're going to see a question on the screen and you got to choose between one or the other. Right? You put 1 in the chat or 2 in the chat to register your vote. And we'll go ahead and start that. So which team will have the more wins in 2026? The Yankees or the Blue Jays? 1 for the Yankees in the chat, 2 for the Blue Jays in the chat. Who you think is gonna have more wins? I know Slowburn. I know who you going for. Damn, Yankee fan. Well, I'm gonna go for my Yankees, man. Even though I'm not really confident in my answer. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, Yankee fans out there, damn, man. That's sad when you're a Yankees channel and you got more other fans than Yankees fans. Sad. All right, 2-1. You know what, man? I'll be honest with you. You're probably right, slow burner. Let's go to the next one. This or that. Which WBC team has the better roster? Type 1 in the chat for DR. Type 2 in the chat for Team USA. The better roster. This one's a tough one, man, because when you look at Team DR, they stack to the brim. But United States is stacked too, man. But I'm gonna go Team USA. Just to go against Luis Duran. Damn, 50-50 right now. Somebody break the tie. Sky High says Team USA. Yeah, man. Both of these lineups, you can't go wrong with either one. I think it comes down to really the pitching. Who has the better pitching? And even though Paul Skeens is only going to give you 2 starts, Tarek Skubal only 1. Logan Webb might give you 2, maybe 3, who knows. I think that the USA has the better pitching, right? The lineup, man, it could go either way. That's a toss-up, man. And the bench, too. The USA got a better roster to me. Definitely got a better roster. All right. This or that. Who would you rather have as a manager? Type 1 for Jorge Posada. Type 2 in the chat for Joe Girardi. Who would you rather have as a manager? Right? I know a lot of people are they're lobbying for Jorge Posada to be the next manager of the Yankees. I'm gonna go with Joe Girardi though, because Joe Girardi has experience as a manager already, and Jorge Posada doesn't. I think that if the next Yankees manager should be a manager who already has experience, not like Aaron Boone, who this is his first time. We don't got no time. We don't have time for, on-the-job training. So Jorge Posada, I love you, bro, but I'd rather have Joe Girardi as a manager, personally. And I think you guys agree, right? All right. What we got next here? Go to the next one. All right, this or that. You can only fire one. Who are you getting rid of? Brian Cashman or Aaron Boone? Only one of them could go, so don't say both. If you're Hal Steinbrenner and you have to fire one, who are you getting rid of? I think we all agree on this one, man. I'm going with Brian Cashman. I could easily go for Boone too, but I think that look, the roster is the way the roster is because of Cashman. And after this, I'm gonna freestyle and I want to talk about what really, really bothers me with this team. Let me see, do I have any more after this? All right. So everybody voted for Brian Cashman to get out of here. All right. This or that. Can the current Yankees roster win the World Series? Can this current team win the World Series? Press 1 in the chat for yes, 2 in the chat for no. I'm gonna put yes, right? The odds are not likely, right? I would say it's like a 20% chance this team could win. 20% chance, but that's still a chance, so I'm gonna go with yes. But it's highly unlikely. Right? Highly unlikely. Mark Gates, what's up, man? Mark Gates says no. I think that it can happen. Yeah, like Luis Duran says, anything is possible, but it's highly unlikely. So I say the probability is like what it is right now on the screen. I say is the Yankees have like a 20% chance of winning the World Series with this roster, in my opinion. In my opinion. Was that the last one? Okay, last one right here. Who should make the roster out of spring training? Max Schumann or Oswaldo Cabrera? Who should be the extra infielder, pretty much? Max Schumann or Oswaldo Cabrera? This is a tough one, man, for me, because I love Waldo. But Max Schumann's glove is elite. The man could field. He's a beast. I'm gonna go with Max, man. It's tough. It's a tough one. Nah, I'm changing mine. I'm going, nah. Yeah, it's tough, man. We love Waldo, but Man, we trying to win, man. It's not. Look, it's not time to play games anymore, man. Sometimes you got to make grown man decisions and cut people, send them down, whatever you got to do. Whatever you got to do, that's what you got to do. But let's go ahead and get into the chat. And also, hold on, why is this showing like that? Oh, there we go. All right. So this is before I get into the chats and stuff, this is what really bothers me with this team. Right? Because I keep hearing, yeah, we got a way better bench, and I agree, this bench is better than last year's. But this is what bothers me. This team is structured, right? The roster is it's structured to platoon, right? You got platoon at third base. You might have platoon at first base. You platoon in so much, and I feel like they setting themselves up to make Aaron Boone's job difficult. And what do I mean by that, right? So here's what's gonna happen. Let's say it's a left-handed starter. We're playing a left-handed pitcher, right? You're gonna have Amer Rosario starting third base, and then maybe even Paul Goldschmidt playing first, right? And you're gonna start off like that. But see, teams like, especially like Alex Cora, right? Teams like the Red Sox who have managers who are smart, this is how they finesse Aaron Boone every time. And Aaron Boone finds himself in sticky situations because they'll go ahead and they'll be like, okay, you know what? Let's bring in a righty. They'll just throw in a righty for an inning just so he can start bringing in the lefties and then bring back the lefty. You understand? So they'll start with a lefty. It's too easy. You're going to start with a lefty, right? He's going to play Amer Rosario and Paul Goldschmidt and all these guys. And then they're going to bring in a lefty reliever. And then Boone is going to bring in Ben Rice and whoever it is other than that. And then they're just going to go right back to the lefty pitcher, and now you got lefty on lefty bats and freaking, am I making sense? It's hard to explain, but this is how they finesse Boone every single time. And next thing you know, JC Escobar is playing third base. And you're like, how the hell did we get to this point that this dude's playing third base? We got there because the Yankees playing that lefty-righty matchup, it don't always work. You only have so many guys on the bench, right? And it happens in reverse order, right? Let's say you're facing a righty today. You got Ryan McMahon at third. You got all your lefties in there, but then they go ahead and bring in they bring in a lefty reliever. So you bring in all your lefties, right? I mean, you bring in all your guys that hit lefties good, and then they just switch right back to a righty. And now you have freaking guys who can't hit right-handed bats, And that's what always happens, man, with this team. So I don't like it. I think that it's okay to have guys who specialize, right? It's all right to have a guy who specializes versus a lefty, like an Amer Rosario. That's cool. But you can't play that game. You really can't play that game because what ends up happening is teams have lefties and righties in the bullpen. So they'll bring in a lefty, and then you bring in your lefty specialist, and then they just bring in a righty. And now you're stuck with that lefty specialist out there who's probably the worst defender, and I'm going to use Amer Rosario in this case, and doesn't hit righties very well. And you just stuck like Chuck at that point, and you wasted your bench, and now you got nowhere to go, and then you end up having JC Escobar playing third, right? So I don't like it. I don't like the way this team is structured like that. I think that the Yankees, they playing this game, and it's a dangerous, dangerous game, right? It's a dangerous game where all your lefties can only hit righty pitching, and then all your bench can only hit lefty pitching. Because teams are smart. People ain't stupid. It's too easy to bring in, it's too easy to bring in a lefty reliever and then just go ahead and bring in a righty reliever. And now all the switches that Boone made that didn't work out, and now you're stuck, right? And now you're stuck with who you got. And that's why the Yankees are playing with, that's why they got Ryan McMahon at shortstop, right? That's why they're teetering with that. And it's the stupidest shit in the world, man. And it pisses me off. You saw how he looks uncomfortable out there, right? He's a he's a gold glove third baseman, elite, the best of the best. And you want to move him to short. And the only reason they want to do this is because they understand. They're like, damn, if we play this lefty-righty game, it might, you shuffling the domino pieces, right? You shuffling the pieces all the way around that you might end up with guys stuck in places that they don't usually play. And that's why they want to test them out at shortstop. That's why they want to test them out at shortstop. That's why, you might have Ben Rice catching at times, and that's why JC Escarra might find himself at third base someday. And that's why, and it's ridiculous. It is. It's really, in my opinion, it's absolutely ridiculous. There's no reason, only the Yankees do shit like that, right? They're like, okay, wow, man, we have a Gold Glove elite third baseman. Let's put him at short, right? That makes sense. No, they always do that. They did it with IKF. IKF was a Gold Glove third baseman. Guess where they put him? At shortstop, and he ended up at center field somehow. The same thing with Gleyber Torres, man. He was fine at second base. Somehow they decided, well, you could be a shortstop. Didn't work out. Same thing with Jazz Chisholm Jr. They ended up putting him at third. The Yankees don't learn. They really do not learn from their own mistakes, man. It's frustrating. Like, this never works out, Yankees. Don't you understand? Every time you try to shuffle the deck like that, it never works out. And it's unfair to the players, man. It's unfair to put Ryan McMahon at third base. The dude, like, we need him to just focus on hitting. His defense is good at third. There's no issue. We have no complaints with Ryan McMahon's defense at third. Yet you want to put him at short. We saw it the other day. He made an error out there. He's not comfortable out there. Why? And they're doing it. You know why they're doing it? Because they see a scenario, right? If they take him out, right, or they move and they're like, okay, this is what the Yankees are worried about. They're like, all right, if they bring in a lefty reliever and we want to replace Ryan McMahon for Ahmed Rosario, if they do that and then they go ahead and bring a righty reliever again, then it kind of negated everything they were trying to do. So they're like, how do we keep McMahon in the lineup with Rosario in the lineup at the same time? And they're like, okay, well, we bring McMahon to shortstop and have Ahmed Rosario at third. Like, the Yankees don't I don't know. It's really frustrating. The way they overanalyze this shit. Like, just leave the guy at third base, right? If you want him at third base, let him play third base, and he's going to have to face lefty batters too. Lefty pitchers. And that's it. He's going to have to face lefty pitchers at times, and that's just the way it is. And if you're going to take him out, the minute they put in a lefty reliever and bring in Ahmed Rosario, well, guess what? You got to live with Ahmed Rosario for the rest of the game at third base. And that's where the roster structure really fails to me. If that makes sense, guys. Jacob, what's up, Jacob? Jonathan, what's up, Jonathan? Slow burner. Yeah, it's a little bit of that. Katie says, how's Roxy doing? Where are you, Roxy? Oh, she's sleeping on the beanbag over there. Today is NHL trade deadline. Nobody care about that, man. Get out of here. Stuff and hangs. Why can't guys just learn how to hit? Nobody wants to change the approach. Pull the ball, don't hit oppo, stubborn as ever. It doesn't work. Old school baseball was better. Man, first I would say this, right? It's not as easy as it looks. Okay? It's not as easy as it looks. Especially with Major League pitching. But you're right, though. The approach has to change. Some guys, look, there's certain people that I don't care. That's what I want them to do. Certain people I want freaking crushing the ball or trying to crush the ball. And then others, like, just put the bat on the ball. It's situational hitting. And, yeah, going oppo. I always feel like you take what the pitcher gives you, right? You can't pull a ball outside. It just never works out. You take those away. But to be honest, right, you're going to do more damage when you pull the ball. That's just a statistical fact. When you pull the ball, you can do more damage. Pulling the ball, you get more power. You drive the ball better pulling the ball. Some people, they can go to all fields, and those are the better hitters. I don't know, man. It's really, I think a lot of times, man, I really think that some of these guys are just not good. They're just not that good at hitting, right? It's not even the approach. They could change the approach. They probably trying. Some of them are just not that good at hitting. They're just not that good, right? And I think sometimes we gotta just accept that. We want to say, like, especially, like, I'll give you an example, like Volpe. We're like, well, Volpe, you just slap the ball and hit it the other way. Man, he just can't do it. Maybe he's trying to do it. He just can't. You know, he can't. Like, we'll just get on base. Why are you trying to hit home runs, bro? I mean, he can't. That's the problem, you know. And the Yankees don't realize that. And that's when you got to move on from a player. You know, maybe they just can't do it. But I agree, though. It seems like everybody is playing hero ball. Everybody's going up in there trying to hit a 5-run home run. You know, it's not happening. Like, especially sometimes the Yankees are down 6, right? Yankees are down 6, and everybody's up there trying to swing for the fence like they're going to tie the game with one swing. It don't work that way. Stuff and things, elite defender who can't hit. Yeah, but you got to understand, though. But see, but the problem is, and this is where you don't, this is what I'm saying, right? That's why they have Amer Rosario there, right? So when it's a left-handed bat, they're going to bring in Rosario. When it's a right-handed pitcher, they're going to leave McMahon in there. But the problem is that the game is always changing, right? So if McMahon is starting versus a righty and they bring in a lefty pitcher in the 5th inning, you bring in Rosario, and now McMahon's out of the game, right? And Rosario might get one at bat versus the lefty, and then they just bring in another righty, and Amer Rosario's numbers versus righties aren't good. So now you have a weaker defender, you have a worse defender at third, and he's hitting against righties the way he doesn't hit very well against. You understand what I'm saying? And that's why the platoon thing never works out the way you expect. You know, that when you platooning players because of certain splits, it's you walking a very fine line, man. I'm telling you, a very fine line, and it's gonna backfire on this team. I promise you. At some point in the season, we're gonna be like, damn, they got finessed, right? They got finessed. They started with a left-handed pitcher, so the Yankees put in all the guys who hit left-handed pitchers well, and then they switched to a righty. You know, so they brought in everybody else, and then they just switched back to a lefty. You know. Margay says, is that stupid analytics department that Boone lives by? Look, analytics has a place, though. Analytics is right. Look, the numbers don't lie, but it doesn't tell the whole story. You can't go specifically or just on analytics because there's some things you can't quantify, right? There's certain things you just can't quantify, right? Like if a player is hot, they're just hot. I don't care what the numbers say. You can have a player batting 100, but in the last week, he's been tearing the cover off the ball. That guy's hot. I don't care what the stats say. He is on fire. You ride that wave until it's no more, right? Until that fire burns out. You ride it. The Yankees don't do that, though, because they don't believe in stuff like that. They believe in analytics. They believe in numbers. Well, he doesn't hit left-handed. They'll be like, well, I don't care if he just hit 7 home runs in 7 games in a row. He doesn't hit right-handed pitchers well. So we're going to bench him. And you're like, dude, this dude's the hottest bat in baseball, right? And you're going to sit him down in the middle of his hot streak because they don't believe in that. So, and I say to say the analytics, it isn't ruining baseball, but it doesn't help. Like you gotta be able to read the room sometimes, man. You just have to. The Yankees don't have a feel for the game. They don't. That's the thing. When you get too robotic, that's when the analytics are bad. But analytics are great too. We use it right now. You know, we use it all the time. Like right now, I'm gonna pull up Amer Rosario. I hope I spell it right. Amer Rosario versus righties. Am I spelling this? How do I do it? All right. Let's see if that works. Okay. I didn't fetch it. Anyway, you get the point. Oh my God. Yeah, so I think analytics is good, but it's not everything. Sometimes you just gotta feel You got to get a feel for the game, man, and just just understand there's certain things you can't quantify for real. What's we got here? Gleyber Torres was here a year ago, a year too long. I'm glad he's gone. He was a head case. Well, I'll tell you what, man. That dude was doing this thing with Toronto, with Detroit. It was time for Gleyber to go. I agree. It was definitely time for him to go. And he was, but I blame a lot of his stuff with the Yankees on the Yankees, I blame a lot of his faults on the Yankees. Because they forced it, they allowed that to happen. Boone tried to get tough on him later on, right? He tried to get tough on him. It was too late by then when he pulled him out that game. Remember, he benched him and tried to make an example out of him, and that was messed up because at that point it was like, bro, I don't know. Look, at that point, man, I saw a leadership flaw in Boone. Terrible. He tried to make an example out of Gleyber Torres, but you have freaking Alex Verdugo doing the same shit, now running out plays, and you're defending him. And you got Jazz Chisholm doing the same kind of shit too, and you're defending him, but you want to make an example out of Gleyber Torres when you let him get away with that for so long. Now you want to make an example? Now you want to do something about it. The only reason why they're doing this is because you allowed it for so long, and now you want to put your foot down? No. It was too late by that point. That's why, Gleyber was a head case, and I wasn't mad that the Yankees didn't sign him. Put it that way. But I do believe that a lot of that stuff, that lackadaisical, not running out ground balls, the lack of hustle, mental lapses, we still see that with other players now. Often, that is I think that's a managerial thing. That's a coaching thing. You're allowing this to happen, so it just keeps happening. And then when he try to put his foot down, it's like, bro, you can't put your foot down on one person and then let everybody else slide too. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of things I didn't like about that. Okay, let me see if I can pull this up. All right, Almer Rosario versus righties. Almer Rosario versus righties. It's saying 2026. It should be 2025 season, but so he bats pretty decent versus righties too. Versus lefties. Oh no, something ain't wrong. I think that's just his season stats. I gotta fix that. It ain't coming up right. Let's see what runners are scoring position. Let me see if this works real quick. Nah. Take that off. I gotta fix that. I don't know what's going on. Stuff and hangs. Excuses are weak. Yeah. Johnson says Yankees need to stop pulling the ball all the time. Man, let me tell you something, man. It's easier said than done. Sometimes you gotta do what the pitcher gives you, man. It's very hard to pull a ball that's outside, and it's very hard to hit the ball oppo on a pitch that's inside. Obviously it can be done, but like your power is always going to be to your pull side. That's where you drive the ball, and it's tough, man. Look, hitting is very hard. It's very, very hard. So I don't want to say like these guys are not trying to do certain things because I don't know. But it really seems like at times like they just swinging for the fences. High says you need a healthy medium. Don't be the Rockies who use zero analytics, but also don't have ChatGPT making lineups. Yeah. Helaman's Heart says Yankees should have traded away Jazz to the desperate San Francisco. Could have gotten a haul for him. Jazz is not a winner. I mean, I think that I don't want to say he's not a winner, but he is. He can bring problems. Jazz plays for Jazz, right? And that could be a bad thing. But when you're hitting 30-30, man, I'll take that any day. But you got to do more than that. You got to step up when we need it, because there is such thing, right, as padded stats, right? There is a such thing as empty stats, but I don't think the Jazz is that guy because when you hit 30-30, I don't care who is against. That's 30-30, right? He did that last year. So the talent is there. There's no denying Jazz has talent. It's the attitude sometimes. The attitude sometimes is just not it, you know? It's not it. And I feel like sometimes I feel like some people don't like it. And look, I don't know because I'm not in the clubhouse. Who knows? I feel like a lot of people kind of just look at, yeah, whatever, Jazz, you know? And they just ignore it. They don't agree with him sometimes, but they just ignore it because they're afraid of confrontation because he's not the type that's going to keep his mouth shut. I think Boone is terrified of Jazz, right? I think he's terrified to go out there and be like, and bench him for something that he did wrong or something like that. Look, I could be wrong, but I see it in him. Like, and look, nobody likes confrontation, right? Nobody likes confrontation, but sometimes it got to happen, especially if you're a manager or a coach or a leader or something. Sometimes you got to let someone know that what they're doing is unacceptable. Sometimes you got to let them know. You know, the Tanner's there. Yeah, man. You know, I want to say something too, like, and we're talking about the Yankees. And I get, like, I'm okay. Like, I get the optimism from certain fans and all that. And to a certain extent, I'm optimistic too about this team in 2026. And that's only because, look, anything can happen. It's a new season. Anything can happen. But when certain fans use certain, like when they say, well, we had the same record as the Blue Jays, right? That is not a valid argument because we absolutely got crushed by the better teams, right? We got crushed by the Blue Jays. We got crushed by the Red Sox. We got crushed by a lot of teams. So to say that this team was as good as the Blue Jays is just, how can you say that? How can you say that the last year's Yankees was as good as the Blue Jays, or because they had the same amount of wins when one team was clearly dominant over the other one? Like, so that's not a valid argument. The argument that they faced adversity well because down the stretch they came back and tied the Blue Jays, that's not a valid argument either, because down the stretch we faced the worst teams in baseball. We were facing the worst teams in baseball, the White Sox, or we was facing the worst of the worst, right? And that's why they won 8 or 10 in a row, whatever it was, in September down the stretch. And the Blue Jays, the only reason they caught up to the Blue, because the Blue Jays started losing a little bit, because the Blue Jays had a tougher schedule. They were facing the Red Sox or some better teams down the stretch. That's how we ended up meeting at 94 wins. But when it came down to it, they held the line, right? They never fell below. So to say that we faced adversity well last year, that's horse hockey, man. Tell me how we faced adversity well when we freaking lost an 8-game lead in the division. We blew it, right? And then going into Toronto, when Toronto tied us, we were a game ahead. We were a game ahead of Toronto going into Toronto, into a Blue Jays series, a 4-game series, and we lost all 4, guys. Not 1, not 2. So tell me how this team faced adversity and they stood up. How? We went into Toronto in first place in a 4-game series and lost all 4 of them. Got swept, beat bad in all of them. So how was that? Oh, this team faced adversity, they were good. How did we face adversity good? Because we came back in game 3 when Aaron Judge came back by himself in game 3, right, of the division series. We had just got freaking destroyed though in game 1 and 2. So how can you say, yeah, we faced that? No, we didn't face that adversity. That was a given. Aaron Judge came back and all that. We were facing the lesser of their pitching at that point. We got handed by Kevin Gausman and Trey Savage. They absolutely dominated this lineup, right? They didn't just beat the Yankees. They mollywopped them. Like it was straight freaking belt to ass, you know? So how I don't understand how people, and I get it, look, be optimistic, right? Don't be negative. Have the glass half empty, half full. Like you could see it either way, bro. But the glass wasn't half empty or half full last year. The glass was empty, bro. It was empty. We got smashed. Like you just gotta be real sometimes. So when I come on here, so people be like, people think I'm like just negative. Nah, I'm look like, bro, you saw the same shit I saw, right? We're not living in two different universes, in two different freaking worlds, in two different dimensions. We all saw what happened last year, right? One team was clearly better than the other, not even close. Just saying, you know. I am just saying. So how can you say that? Oh, you know, this team faced adversity and we stood up in the you know when the going got tough, we got freaking the team came together and they pulled through. No, they what? They pulled through what? When? I think you must be talking about a different season, man. Yeah, just like I don't know, guys. Look, I don't know. I'm optimistic about this season because it's a new season, right? Anything can happen. But if this team plays like last year and the rest of the division play like last year, then we in trouble, man. You know, because and the division is even harder. So I still think the Yankees that they can be done. This can't be it. They gotta figure something out during the season, or some players gotta step up for this team to really make it to go far. If not, it's gonna be a long season, guys. Very long. Very long season. If we're green, it's a troll. And it's not it's $ troll. I think. Yeah. But what else we got, man? What you guys want to talk about? Want to talk about more Team USA? Man, I'm excited about today's game, man. Team USA. I really am. This WBC, not only because Aaron Judge is on the team. That's not the only reason why I think is going to be exciting. I mean, when you look at these rosters, the rosters are absolutely crazy, man. Team DR, Team USA, like even Japan. Japan is nice too. To me personally, and a lot of people are not gonna. I have Japan third. You know, I have USA first, DR second, Japan third. Because these lineups are just freaking dominant, man. Especially USA and DR, their lineups are just absolutely stacked, man. There is no easy anything in there. Anyone in their lineup could do real serious damage. There's nowhere for a pitcher to go to breathe when they facing these lineups. So all right, let's see what Margay says. Dominguez batting 300 while Grisham only 77. Look, man, I'm gonna say it again. Look, you got to take spring training. Spring training is spring training, guys. Don't ever, look. Don't make the mistake of getting too high on somebody in spring training or too low. And don't get it twisted, right? And I like Grisham, but is he worth $22 million? I don't agree, right? I don't. But all because he's batting 77 in spring training, yeah, that's not a good start, right? That doesn't mean that he come March 27th or whenever the season starts, that he's just not going to tear the cover off the ball or start off hot. Man, baseball is like that, man. Spring training is spring training. Spring training is spring training. You cannot judge what a person's really going to do in spring training. You got to kind of look at who they facing to and are they ready and everything. And Dominguez, his defense is just a liability. So unless he's like batting 300, Dominguez will have to bat from the right side and left side 300 and kill the ball and just be dominant for the Yankees to consider it. But the defense is shady out there. You got to admit it. You can't really have him out there on defense. It's a liability. So I think, yeah, I wouldn't get too crazy, man, because he's batting 300. Dominguez from the left side of the plate, we know he can hit. It's everything else that we're worried about. what can the Yankees learn from the U.S. roster? I mean, what is to learn, man? That it's a freaking all-star roster. It's a dream team. There's nothing really to learn from their roster. There really isn't, man. Like, of course, that roster is going to work every time. Like, you could get players like that, but the Yankees, man, they just right now I think they're playing a dangerous game with the platooning stuff. Too much platooning, too much. Healing Man's Heart says 7.5% chance for Brazil to win. For Brazil to win. So you're saying there is a chance? Yeah, technically there's a chance, man. Not good. Not good. Guys, if you just joining, right, this is for my Yankee fans. If you missed the Yankees farm system ranked 26 overall, MLB Pipeline ranked the Yankees farm system 26 overall in baseball. That means they're the 5th worst farm system in all of baseball. Do you think that's a fair assessment? What do you guys think about that? I'm curious because, you know, you have the Yankee fans that are optimistic, and look, by all means, be optimistic, right? You know, that are high on every play, but obviously the rest of the league don't value our prospects as much as we do, right? Or as much as the Yankees do. So, what do you guys think, man? Is it a fair assessment? They got us way down there. Where we don't put it this way, we don't have a player in the top 30 prospects in all of baseball. We don't have one Yankees prospect in the top 30. It's crazy, in my opinion. You got teams that have 3 or 4 guys in the top 30. George Lombard, he's close, right? And maybe that changes soon. Maybe, you know, everything, because it's like I said, the situation is dynamic. It's always changing. But Jonathan says 1 year. 1 year for Grisham. Go Yankees. Oh, man. Healing Man's Heart says, I believe it. Yankees prospects aren't great. Go over. Yankees prospects aren't great. We've depleted it via the trade deadline. Yeah, we have. And I mean, considering what we got for it, was it worth it, man? I think that the problem is that when we did have guys that were ranked high, first of all, I don't think the Yankees develop great prospects like that, right? I think most prospects that come out of the system that are good, that end up becoming good, they were already good. They just talented, right? They were just gonna be that guy. You know, you see a guy like Aaron Judge, obviously, you know, his hitting approach and everything, it didn't come from the Yankees. It came from an outside third-party source. So, yeah. Hi says, we only do pitchers apparently. Yeah, I think so, you're right. And even that is like, we've had some pitchers, but we haven't really had like somebody. Hopefully Cam Schlittler could be that guy. Oh, look around here, one of these kids coming up. But we really haven't had that guy that came up and was like, wow, this is freaking dominant. We haven't had a Garrett Cole come out of our system in a long time. You know, we've had big league pitchers, you know, that are decent, like a Clark Schmidt. I'm not going to go too crazy over him, though. But we haven't had somebody come out that's like, oh, my God, this dude is freaking lights out. We haven't had a Tarek Skubal or anything like that, or a Garrett Crochet. We haven't had none of that come out from the Yankee system, right? Everybody that we had that we thought were going to be guys like that, they ended up flopping, like a Jonathan Loizaga, right, who was supposed to be that guy. Michael King, I would say, is the last really good one. But even him, I wouldn't put him on that upper echelon of pitchers like that. Who else? I'm thinking in terms of starters. Luis Hill, I wouldn't give them credit for that, but even him, he's not in the upper echelon. We haven't had a freaking ace come out of the Yankee system since, I don't know, when was the last ace we had come out of the Yankees farm system? The last ace, was it Pettit, right? Who was the last ace to come out of the Yankees farm system? Somebody chime in the chat, man. Let me know. Or am I crazy, right? Maybe I'm having selective memory. I'm trying to think. I can't think of one. Jonathan. So Jonathan's the trivia guy. Who was the Yankees' last ace to come out of their farm system? Severino? No. God, please, guy. Sunil, you know better. Sunil, please stop. No. He had like maybe one good season. No. And look what happened. I'm talking about when I mean ace, I mean like who stood the test of time and lived up to. No, not Severino. He was supposed to be, but he didn't work out. When was the last guy? It was Pettit, bro. That's what I'm saying. I think it was Pettit. We talking about 30 years ago. So to say that we developed good pitching too, yeah, we develop guys who become big leaguers and they're good journeymen and they find a career and they end up, going somewhere else and playing. But we haven't had nobody come up that was an ace. None. Or even a top bullpen reliever. Maybe Dylan Betances a little bit. Yes, man, look. This is the stuff. This is why when I see the Yankees farm system ranked 20, at first when I first saw this, I said, "Oh man, these guys are just Yankees haters, right? They're haters on the Yankees." And then when I started digging it and I started thinking about it more, and I was like, "Dang, you know what? Maybe they're right. Maybe not 26. That's too low, but we're definitely not top 10. Definitely not top 10." So. Soon as it's ace or ass, I can't think of plenty for the latter. Yeah, man. Jonathan said, I think Lagrange and ERC could break the streak. I do too. I think Cam Schlittler, right? If Cam Schlittler has a great year this year, but it's going to take a few years, right? Because some people come and they have a good first year and then they fall off. I'm talking about somebody who stood the test of time. So I would say 3 years. 3 years of giving you freaking top of the rotation type quality pitching. We haven't had that in a long, long time. And the only reason I brought that up is because, we try to always, we always look, and I get it because we're Yankee fans. And I'm not trying to be, sometimes we got to keep it real, man. Let's be realistic. And this is what the Yankees don't do. This is why the Yankees find themselves in the same situation over and over and over, because they refuse to really analyze their own team, like assess themselves and really, truly, truthfully grade themselves, because they think their shit don't stink. And I hate to be using curse words in the morning. The Yankees think that their shit don't stink, man. They think that they're always right and there's no way they could be wrong because they're the Yankees. But guess what? You're wrong, If they really sat down and said, man, when was the last time we produced the ace from our farm system? Man, you got to go back 30 years. When was the last time we produced a superstar out of our farm system? Aaron Judge, the last one, and that was a godsend, right? Yeah, man. Hopefully that changes, right? Hopefully that changes. But when I think of the old Yankees in the 90s and stuff, I know people try to say, well, how can you be mad at the Dodgers for buying their team when the Yankees did the same? And I have to be like, excuse me, wait a minute. We did have something called the Core Four. Don't you remember that? The Yankees were not, like that dynasty of the 90s was not bought. That dynasty from the 90s was produced from a freaking great system, where we produce freaking all-stars and Hall of Famers all in one shot. I'm talking about Derek Jeter, Jorge Posada, Mariano Rivera, Andy Pettit, Bernie Williams. Who am I missing? These are all guys that came through the system, right? And those are just the main guys. And then there was a whole bunch of other talent that just kind of played around them just to make it better, We're talking about several Hall of Famers in that conversation. That team wasn't bought. Yeah, they ended up getting like some players here and there. Most of them were after their prime. Most of them had already reached their prime, but we got them. That team was not bought. That team was homegrown. The Yankees don't do that no more. And that's why we're ranked 26 overall. We haven't done it in a long time. I say 30 years. 30 years. It's been 30 years. You know, after that, we try to buy players and do stuff like that, but it's tough. Shoot. Yankees had terrible drafts between 2007 and 2012. It's bad, man. The New York Yankees shit is so aromatic. Yeah, man, it's just, yeah, it doesn't smell, man. G. Michael O'Neal trade. Yeah, that was a big trade. Don't get me wrong. There's other guys that, you know, but for the core of that team or that dynasty was homegrown, man. It's just, look, yeah, we traded for guys and did all that, but it's different, man. It's different. It's different from what the Dodgers are doing now. The Dodgers are flat out just freaking, just blowing everybody out the water, just spending whatever it is and just putting together literally all-star, like the best free agents that you can find and every year, you know, they're just signing them. And I'm not knocking the Dodgers because look, I wish the Yankees would do that, right? But I hate when people say like the team. So this is what gets me mad, right? So I'll say all that to say this. I don't to say that the Yankees bought their championships in 96, you know, 98, 99, 2000. I don't agree. I don't agree. That team was homegrown, right? The core, the heart of that team came from the system. So you can't compare them to the Dodgers of today. Because if you look at the Dodgers of today, and I'm not hating on the Dodgers, right? But outside of like Andy Pajes, Will Smith, who came from that farm system? Who in that team and that roster who's integral to that team's success came from their farm system? Nobody really. Everybody was traded for or signed. You know, but I will say this though, the Dodgers are ranked number 2. The Dodgers have the number 2 farm system. So when they do make certain trades, understand that they can do that because they have prospect capital. Yankees don't have prospect capital. We have decent prospects, some good prospects, but we don't have prospect capital to go up against like, you know, the Dodgers or some of these teams, right? We don't. If somebody becomes available and we're trying to trade for them, and a team like the Dodgers, like some of these teams, they got freaking top prospects, they're gonna go with them. And then Cashman too, he refuses to really give up certain players because he overvalues certain guys. So yeah, just doesn't happen. And that's why we always get left with our hands out, you know, like this at the trade deadline. Last year was a decent trade deadline. It was good, but we didn't get any of the top players, right? If there was a top third baseman last year, we didn't get him. If there was a top reliever last year, we didn't get that top reliever. The top of it, a top pitcher, right? A top starter, we didn't get no top starter. We get other guys who are, you know, we get like the B list, right? You have the A list guys. We're shopping in the B list. Okay, that's where we're at. Sometimes C. Max Muncy. Yeah, but like I said, though, I mean, Max Muncy, I would say he's crucial, but not really, though. You take Max Muncy out of that team, they'll be fine. They're going to win. I'm talking about all their stars and everybody they got. Who else, right? Who came from the Dodger system? Ohtani didn't come from the Dodger system. Tyler Glasnow didn't come from the Dodger system. Yamamoto didn't come from the Dodger system. Blake Snell didn't come from the Dodger system. Mookie Betts didn't come from the Dodger system. Freddie Freeman didn't come from the Dodger system. Teoscar Hernandez didn't come from the Dodgers. You see where I'm going? All of these guys were bought and paid for. Where the 90s Yankees, that dynasty, that last three-peat, it was mostly guys who came from the system. I'm talking about the key personnel. A lot of them weren't. I get like Tino Martinez wasn't from the Yankee system. Paul O'Neill. There was a lot of guys, but it's more than what this team is, right? So I know I'm the Dodgers fan. I'm not hating on the Dodgers. They're great, but I hate when people say the Yankees did the same thing. And I'm like, man, to a certain extent, but not like this. It's never been done like this, you know? So then he says, so Bednar and Duvall weren't near the top relief pitching. No, so I'm gonna tell you right now, this is why they're not. This is why they're not. That's why I said they're the B. They're in the top because they're the B. But there was another level last year, right? When you had Johan Duran from the Twins, right, who got traded to the Phillies, that's elite tier. Mason Miller, Duran, that's what I'm talking about. We didn't go after those. We couldn't afford those guys. That's crazy to say, right? The Yankees could not afford the top guys. We had to settle for the Bednars, the Duvalls. Don't get me wrong, still good, but they weren't the best, you know, out there. And I'm missing a name too. There was a couple more. So that's what I mean, Sunil. So I respect you disagreeing, but I disagree with you because that was not the top tier. That was the B tier. There was another level, bro. There's levels to this, right? Some people, right? Some of us, you know, how do I explain it, right? Some of us, like some teams are shopping at Louis Vuitton and others are shopping at H&M. And the Yankees were at H&M, you know, for their relievers last year. It's still good, though. You know, it's nice. They're good guys, man. Definitely. But they ain't the guys. Like, oh, you know, it's a big difference. Yeah, Slow Burner says you're shopping at Walmart, not Target. Exactly, man. Good analogy, better one. You know? So that's what I'm saying. Duvall was good. Don't get me wrong, David Bednar, even Jake Bird. Jake Bird's more like the C list. These are guys that were good relievers. We're talking, if you just joined, I'm talking about the Yankees making moves at the trade deadline last year. Pretty much the Yankees trade capital. You know, the reason why we ranked 26 overall, and it affects the trades we make because we don't have the capital to go out and get guys like a Mason Miller or, you know, Duran or some of these guys. So that's what I was saying. Like we can't shop at the Louis Vuitton of players, right? The Louis Vuitton of players include Mason Miller, and all these guys, right? We have to get the Bednars and all these other dudes who are, I would say they're just a level below that. So Neil says Mason Miller's a Tommy John waiting to happen. Yeah, but he's not though, man. You could say that about anybody. He's not though. You could say that about Carlos Lagrange, about anybody. I think he already had Tommy John too, if I'm not mistaken. But like I take Mason. Look, let me ask you this: would you rather have Mason Miller or David Bednar? And be truthful in the chat. Do I have to take a vote? You know what? We could just take a vote of that. Be very truthful. And I'm nothing against David Bednar. I love David Bednar. I make the whole point I'm trying to say is the Yankees. Yeah, they make moves. They'll make moves, but they don't go after those top guys because, first of all, I don't think they have the balls to do it, and I don't think they have the trade capital right now. And that's why they ranked 26. Hold on. What time is it? I got to get out of here soon, too. All right, we'll do this here. The same thing with what the hell? The wrong person here. All right. So what we're going to do, type 1 in the chat for David Bednar, 2 in the chat for Mason Miller. Who would you rather have? Honestly, be honest too. And that's not a knock. Look, I'm happy we got David Bednar. It's way better than freaking Devin Williams. But But Mason Miller's another category, man. And that's what I'm saying. And I will put the same thing for, put a guy like Duran. Who would you rather have, David Bednar or freaking I can't even say his first, Joan Duran? Am I saying that right? I'm gonna go with Duran and 10 times out of 10. And that's not a knock against David Bednar. I appreciate what he's done, but he's not the A-list of freaking closers, man. The A-list is like a group of like 5 guys, maybe. He's there, he's up there. I give him like a B+, a B, but he's not A. That's the whole point of that, man. So I disagree, Sunil. And look, bro, Sunil, you gotta chill, man. You comparing him to John Wetland. This dude he's been the Yankees closer for like 2 months, right? Let's see what he can do. Must I remind you, right? Look, he had a good season last year, right? But at one point before that, the season before that, he had got sent down to AAA. And look, I'm not trying to knock David Bednar because I like David Bednar. I'm appreciative of him. I appreciate him a lot, and the Yankees really needed him last year, and he came through. But let's slow down. Everybody making it seem like he's a sure thing. To me, he's probably the surest thing in the bullpen right now. But he's not 100% either. To me, he's not 100% a sure thing. I would have to see a full season of him. But to compare him to John Wetland, who at one point was the best closer in the game, to compare him to names like that, like, what are we doing, guys? For real, you set yourself up for failure when you do that. Let me see. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Let me pull up these stats. I gotta fix this damn stat thing. It's not working like I want it to. Let's pull up David Bednar's stats. Yeah, last year he had a great season. All right. He did have a great season last year. I'm not taking none away from that, but I would still rather have Mason Miller than him. Oh, sure, I spelled it wrong. Now let's look at 2024. Why does it keep pulling 20? Oh, shoot. Wrong season. All right. Right. On the right is David Bednar 2024 stats. On the left is 2025. So I get it, right? I get that he was good last year. But this is what he did before. So to me personally, he's not a sure thing yet. I'm not getting too high on him at all. Like some people are. Comparing him to certain people is just crazy. Saying that he's the top 2 or top 3 closers in the game is crazy to me. He hasn't earned that from me personally. He had a great season last year, especially for the Yankees. He came through when we needed him the most because we had nobody to close games last year. So I'm very appreciative of that. But he's still got to prove a lot to me, Because if we get 2024 David Bednar, we're in trouble. That's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying. So you see, that's why I say he's not a sure thing. He is not a sure thing at all. And neither is Mason Miller or any of these guys. I think Duran is the most sure thing you can get in terms of a closer. What the hell? I'm getting freaking football players. Yeah. Anyway, we'll get into that later. But folks, yeah, man, besides that, that's pretty much all I got for you guys. And look, I want to be optimistic, but certain things you got to just keep it real, man. Let's like, you got to be real. I get it. Like people who are optimistic, and I'm optimistic too about a lot, but you can't take one thing without taking another, right? So some things are just facts, man. You can't ignore facts. You can't ignore numbers. You can't ignore um certain things. Like you got to be realistic. You got to be realistic. You pulling up John Wetland in 1990. Come on, dude. I think David Bednar is good, but he's got to be better. So Sunil's predicting the future. Go ahead. You know what, Sunil? Predict your stats for David Bednar. And look, I want David Bednar to do good, and I think he's going to do good. But I'm not going to say that he's John Wetland or because he had a good year, you know, and John Wetland had a bad year before. Like, what are we doing, Sunil? Come on, you're smarter than that, man. You can't. That's not how this works. Like, I like David Bednar, but he's still got a lot to prove to me personally. He's got a lot to prove to me. I think he's good, but we'll see throughout a course of a full season in a Yankees uniform. And there were times last year where he closed it out, but he looked, I don't know. I'm not sold on David Bednar just yet. Call me crazy. I'm not sold just yet, right? When he proves it to me, then I'm like, okay, he's the real deal. Like when he comes in the game, it's official. It's good. We're golden. I don't get that vibe from him. I used to get that vibe from John Wetland. I used to get that vibe from Mariano Rivera. You know, I get that vibe from when a guy like Duran comes in the game. And I'm not trying to compare him to them, obviously, but you just compared him. I didn't do it. You compared him to John Wetland. I don't get lights out when he comes in the game. I don't get it, that feeling. I still feel like, oh, okay, come on, David Bednar, please. Sunil says David Bednar, 275, 46 saves. All right. I hope so, man. I really do. I'm not 100% sold on him. He's the closer, though. There's nobody else that's going to do better than him right now, as of right now, as the closer. But I'm not sold. I'm not 100% sold right now. All right. But anyway, folks, that's going to do it for me. I appreciate you all. If you haven't liked the video, please like. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Yeah, USA Tonight. I'm going to try to do an open mic, open panel tonight if I can. I'm going to see what time I make it back home. If I don't do it tonight, I'll do it tomorrow, though. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys. Yeah. Here's the thing. Have a great evening and have a great day, man. Take care, y'all. Peace.
Sunrise, French babe, new face, let go. Morning track with Jasson C set the tone. Alarm hit, I'm up, no snooze, no slack, lace tight, mic on head, we run that track. Coffee in the system, mind sharp, talk slick. Pre-game on the screen, I don't miss, I don't pick. Type stats in the chat, watch it pop up loud. Player card on screen, yeah, the numbers arrive. Just 20 tweets, say boom, instant replay. No guesswork, no rumors that the data say. Quick lap energy, but it takes real out. Turn early hours into the main crowd. Quick hits, no fluff, we don't stall. Roll call, name drop, yeah, I got them all. One command, one tap, now the truth on tap. If you want to prove, just type it in the chat. Type it in the chat, type it in the chat. Yeah, morning track, get up, get right. First pitch, energy in the early daylight. Chat, go. When the screen goes snap, pull them stats on demand, yeah, we run that ass. Morning track, big talk, no breaks. Yankees on my mind, I'm the headline wakes. From the warm-up lap to the trophy stack. Way the whole league up, welcome to the morning track, yeah. Type it, tap it, watch the numbers react. Jasson C, morning track.